Christopher Allen Bailey's The Birth of the Modern World is a groundbreaking work that challenges traditional Eurocentric narratives about the development of modernity. Bailey presents a nuanced and comprehensive analysis of the period from 1780 to 1914, arguing that the emergence of the modern world was a truly global phenomenon, shaped by the contributions and interactions of various societies across the world. One of the central ways in which Bailey challenges Eurocentric narratives is by emphasizing the global interconnectedness of political, economic and social changes during this period. He argues that events like the European revolutions and uprisings in China and India influenced each other and contributed to a growing global uniformity in state structures, religions, ideologies and economic systems, as well as in everyday human practices. For example, Bailey highlights how the American Revolution was seen as the dawn of a new order of the ages for all humanity, while French Jacobins emphasized the French Revolution's epochal importance as they sought to spread their ideas. These events inspired others, such as Caribbean slaves, to pursue emancipation, and the principles of no taxation without representation and the rights of man resonated widely, challenging the legitimacy of traditional forms of authority. Bailey also challenges the notion that Western societies were inherently superior and destined to dominate, arguing that their advantages in business, warfare and policy debate were contingent and temporary. He emphasizes the adaptability and contributions of states and societies outside Europe, highlighting how they were quick to adopt new political and social strategies and played crucial roles in expanding world trade and introducing rule by law. For instance, Bailey notes that Chinese family firms and Islamic teachers in West Africa played significant roles in expanding world trade and introducing rule by law, respectively. He also points out that by the early 20th century, Japan was actively shaping modernity alongside Western powers. Throughout the book, Bailey provides numerous examples of how non-European societies responded to and influenced the processes of modernization. In the Ottoman Empire, Sultan Mahmud II initiated significant reforms, including the abolition of the Janissary call, and attempts to bureaucratize religious officers in response to defeats by Russia and encounters with French and British naval power during the Napoleonic Wars. Similarly, in Egypt, Muhammad Ali accelerated reforms, dismantling the Mamluk hierarchy, seizing lands for military and political development, and establishing military and administrative colleges based on French models. These efforts to merge Islamic jurisdiction with administrative courts and expand state forms into Arabia, the Levant, and Sudan demonstrate how non-European societies actively adapted and contributed to the development of modern state structures. Bailey also highlights the intellectual contributions of non-European thinkers and reformers, such as Raja Ram Mohan Roy in India, who synthesized Western liberalism with Indian traditions to advocate for free trade and political representation. In Japan, thinkers like Ogyu Sorai criticized samurai and merchant corruption to protect the moral economy, while the Meiji coup, though influenced by Western modernization, also drew from Japan's own traditions of divine monarchy and good rulership. In challenging Eurocentric narratives, Bailey does not deny the significant influence of Western Europe and North America in shaping the modern world. He acknowledges that the shift to modernity began earlier and more forcefully in these regions, but he emphasizes that this was not due to inherent superiority, but rather a combination of factors, including access to resources, agricultural productivity, technological advancements, stable legal institutions, and innovative financial systems. Moreover, Bailey argues that the differences between Europe and Asia's responses to economic pressures have been overstated, and that Europe's relative success in managing these challenges was due to a combination of factors that raised living standards rather than an inherent superiority. He also notes that European and American global commerce networks and colonial control played a role in their ability to navigate these adaptations, as opposed to the more interrupted and inconsistent transformations in Asia, Africa, and South America. Throughout the book, Bailey provides a balanced and nuanced analysis of the global forces that shaped the modern world. He does not shy away from discussing the negative impacts of European imperialism and colonialism, such as the exploitation of resources and labour in colonies and dependent societies, which fueled the prosperity of commercial societies in Europe and America. However, he also highlights the ways in which colonised and semi-colonised peoples actively responded to and resisted these forces, such as the development of nationalist movements in India and China, which drew on both Western liberal ideas and indigenous intellectual traditions to challenge colonial rule and assert their own visions of modernity. Bailey's analysis of the mid-19th century revolutions and conflicts, including the European revolutions of 1848, the Taiping Rebellion, the Indian Rebellion, and the American Civil War, further demonstrates the global interconnectedness of these events and their far-reaching consequences. He emphasizes the importance of considering both local contexts and individual experiences in understanding these historical events, as well as the role of subaltern groups in challenging existing power structures. For example, Bailey notes that the Taiping Rebellion in China, though influenced by Christian beliefs, also drew on local traditions and grievances to challenge the Qing dynasty and propose radical social reforms. Similarly, the Indian Rebellion of 1857 to 1859 was not simply a reaction against British rule, but also reflected complex social, economic and religious tensions within Indian society. In his analysis of the age of imperialism from 1830 to 1914, Bailey explores the transformations in state and society, tracing the evolution of the modern state and its complex relationships with the economy, civil society, and national identity. He challenges the conventional diffusionist model of state formation, which posits that the modern state and nationalism arose in Europe and spread to the rest of the world through imperial rule or imitation. Instead, Bailey highlights the diversity of state forms and the influence of indigenous practices in shaping modern states across the world. He notes that in East Asia, established bureaucracies and literate governance systems influenced by Chinese Mandarin administration were capable of adapting to Western state structures and practices. Similarly, in Persia and South Asia, Persianate and Indo-Islamic bureaucracies, though less integrated into local societies, provided a foundation for the development of modern state forms in interaction with European influences. Bailey also examines the role of religion and religious movements in shaping the modern world, challenging the notion that modernity was characterized by a simple shift towards secularization. He argues that religious ideas and practices continued to play a significant role in shaping political, social, and intellectual life, even as they adapted to new contexts and challenges. For example, he notes how Islamic reform movements, such as the Wahhabi movement in Arabia and the intellectual networks associated with figures like Shah Wali Allah in India, sought to reinterpret Islamic law and tradition in response to the challenges of modernity, emphasizing the importance of education and social regeneration. Similarly, in China, Confucian classics were reinterpreted, and a focus on practical research emerged, supported by merchants and the broader literate public. Throughout the book, Bailey emphasizes the complex interplay between global forces and local contexts in shaping the modern world. He argues that while the transformative impact of industrialization, imperial expansion, and the rise of the nation-state cannot be denied, these processes were not uniform or unidirectional and were constantly negotiated and adapted in response to local conditions and practices. In conclusion, Christopher Alan Bailey's The Birth of the Modern World offers a powerful challenge to Eurocentric narratives of the development of modernity, presenting a nuanced and comprehensive analysis of the global forces and interactions that shaped the modern world from 1780 to 1914. By emphasising the contributions and adaptations of non-European societies, highlighting the global interconnectedness of political, economic and social changes, and tracing the complex evolution of modern states and societies, Bailey provides a compelling account of the truly global nature of the birth of the modern world. Bailey's work encourages us to reconsider traditional narratives of historical progress and to recognise the complex, multifaceted nature of the forces that shape the modern world. His analysis challenges simplistic notions of Western superiority and highlights the resilience, adaptability, and creativity of non-Western societies in responding to the challenges of modernity. At the same time, Bailey does not romanticize or ignore the negative impacts of imperialism, colonialism, and global inequality, but rather seeks to provide a balanced and nuanced account of the complex interplay between global forces and local contexts that shape the modern world. For students, scholars, and general readers alike, Bailey's book offers a fascinating and accessible introduction to the complex history of the long 19th century, challenging us to think beyond traditional Eurocentric narratives and to recognise the truly global nature of the birth of the modern world.